These are the largest snakes ever caught on camera. Now, snakes come in all shapes and sizes, but what you're about to see is pure nightmare fuel. From a monster snake captured in Malaysia, to a gargantuan anaconda discovered by a fisherman in Brazil, to a man-eating python. First up, we have to look at the Malaysian monster. A group of construction workers were hard at work building a flyover in Payatarubang, a popular tourist destination on Penang Island in Malaysia. As they dug, they suddenly spotted something that sent shivers down their spines: a massive 26-foot Indian python lurking in the shadows. It took them around half an hour to catch the enormous snake, and it weighed more than 500 pounds. Sadly, the story doesn't have a happy ending. Just 3 days later, the python passed away after giving birth. This was highly unusual, so an investigation was conducted to find out what had happened. As it turns out, the workers handled the snake roughly and ended up injuring it. It's a sad reminder that even the biggest and scariest creatures on Earth need our respect and protection. Next, we need to look at the real-life titanoboa. It's hard to believe, but some folks just can't resist the thrill of danger, even if it means facing off with one of the largest snakes in the world. That was certainly the case for Oliveira, her husband Betinho Borges, and their friend Rodrigo Santos, who came across a gargantuan yellow anaconda while boating down the Santa Maria River in Brazil. Instead of steering clear of the deadly predator, this group of daredevils decided to get up close and personal with the snake, and things quickly got wild. Borges, armed with a wooden oar, decided to prod the anaconda, much to the horror of his hysterical wife, who begged him to stop. But that didn't deter the daredevil fishermen. They chased the snake as it swam away, with Borges egging on his buddy Santos to grab it by the tail. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Borges took control of the boat and attempted to speed away. It's a wonder they didn't end up getting swallowed whole. But seriously, folks, let's leave the wild animals alone and enjoy them from a safe distance. One wrong move, and these folks would have become snake food. Next up, take a look at this man-eating python. In the lush rainforests of Indonesia, danger lurks around every corner. For 26-year-old Akbar, that danger came in the form of a massive 30-foot python. Akbar had been out harvesting palm oil on his family's farm when he suddenly disappeared. Neighbors reported hearing screams and struggling sounds late into the night, prompting authorities to launch a search party. After scouring the area, they stumbled upon the python just a short distance from the farm. The snake was resting, looking as though it had just had a large meal. As authorities approached the python, they noticed something peculiar. A strange shape was protruding from the snake's stomach, resembling the outline of a boot. It didn't take long for them to piece together what had happened. The python had swallowed Akbar whole. With no other options, the authorities made the difficult decision to cut open the snake, and as they feared, Akbar's lifeless body tumbled out. Moving along, this massive yellow anaconda was discovered in Altamira. It was just another day at the construction site in the Altamira Caves in Brazil when something strange happened. The workers had conducted a controlled explosion, and as they were sifting through the rubble, they found something unexpected: a massive 33-foot yellow anaconda. This snake was a behemoth, weighing over 800 pounds and boasting a 40-inch diameter. Isn't that just crazy? Despite the danger that lay before them, the workers bravely chained the snake to a crane and lifted it out of the debris. It was a risky move, but they managed to do it without any problems. Now, yellow anacondas are no joke. Even though they're not venomous, they can still be deadly. They like to constrict their prey until it can't breathe anymore. And get this, they prefer to attack from the water, which means drowning is a common cause of death for their prey. Yikes. It's pretty wild to think that these workers could have been a meal for this massive snake. Like, it could have easily unhinged its jaw and swallowed them whole. Thankfully, it didn't. Meanwhile, let's look at the celebrity known as Fluffy the Snakezilla. Meet Fluffy, the infamous snake who once held the world record for being the longest reticulated python according to the Guinness Book of World Records. This massive serpent measured an astonishing 24 feet in length and weighed a whopping 300 pounds. With those incredible measurements, it's no surprise that Fluffy earned a place in the history books. And while Fluffy didn't put up too much of a fight, the same can't be said about some of the other snakes in this video. Next up, we have to look at this massive Burmese python. Florida is famous for its amusement parks, orange groves, and beautiful beaches, but it's also home to some pretty scary creatures. If you're ever out on a nature hike, there's a good chance you'll stumble upon a swamp, and trust us, you don't want to run into some of the animals that call it home. Recently, a group of hunters in Florida captured a 16-foot-long Burmese python that weighed a whopping 63.5 kilos. Just look at the size of that thing. Wouldn't want to come across it in a well-lit alley, let alone out in a dark swamp. The crazy thing is, these snakes aren't even native to the area. They were brought here after their natural habitat was destroyed by a hurricane back in 1992. When the hunters found the python, they made an even more shocking discovery. The snake was pregnant and carrying a staggering 73 eggs. It's hard to imagine just how dangerous it would have been if all those baby pythons had hatched out in the wild. Moving along, it's time for the world's biggest python. Back in 2003, a village in Indonesia claimed to have captured the largest snake in the world. Now, while that claim was never proven, it's easy to understand why they thought so. Like, a regular reticulated python can grow up to 30 feet long and weigh over 300 pounds, but this particular specimen caught in Indonesia was even bigger. According to reports, this snake was 49 feet in length and weighed nearly 990 pounds. It apparently took an army of 65 men and the blessing of a tribal leader to capture this enormous snake. After being caught, it was transferred to a local wildlife preservation center. Meanwhile, let's look at the world's largest rattlesnake. In July 2017, Kathy Terry caught a glimpse of one of these diamondback rattlesnakes on her camera in Florida. She described the creature as long enough to take up 3/4 of the width of a 2-lane road. If she hadn't spotted the snake before stepping out of her caravan, she might have stepped on it. Kathy shared the encounter as a warning to other residents to be careful when walking or even when gardening in their homes. It's a good thing too, because diamondback venom is a potent hemotoxin that kills red blood cells and causes tissue damage. If left untreated, it can be fatal to humans. This species is notorious for causing the most snake bites in the region, as they're one of the more aggressive rattlesnake species in the US. They're known to stand their ground when confronted and rattle to warn aggressors. If that doesn't work, they strike. You definitely don't want to come across this guy while on a hike. Moving along, we have to look at Medusa. Medusa is not your average snake. At a whopping 25 feet 2 inches long and weighing 350 pounds, she holds the world record for the longest snake ever in captivity. Her size is so immense that it took 15 men to hold her at full length just to measure her. Medusa lives in a haunted house attraction called the Edge of Hell, where she's primarily kept coiled up in a nook in a turn-of-the-century brick warehouse. Her diet is nothing short of impressive, consisting of a combination of rabbits, hogs, and deer given to her bi-weekly. She's even been known to devour an entire 40-pound deer in one sitting. Reticulated pythons are known for their grid-like pattern of skin and are typically between 10 to 20 feet in length, but Medusa is far from normal. Her massive size and insatiable appetite make her a true wonder to behold. Alright, comment down below which one of these snakes creeped you out the most.